Your notes today will cover the difference between direct object pronouns, indirect object pronouns, and how to use them together at the same time in a sentence. So I feel like I need to go back to the beginning and just give you a quick overview of what each one of them is and how it works and what it does, and then talk about using them together. So let's start out with the direct object pronouns. The direct object pronouns answer the question what or who in a sentence. So the way to find your direct object is by looking at a sentence and finding the verb. So in this sentence, yo tengo que terminar mi juego de realidad virtual antes de salir. We actually have two verbs. And the one we care about is this one right here, tengo que terminar. Once you find your verb, this is my subject, yo, you are going to ask your verb what. What do I need to finish? And the answer is mi juego de realidad virtual. So this whole thing is my what. Okay, and the rest of the sentence is just extra information. We don't really care about that right now. So then the next question would be, my direct object pronouns are lo, la, los, or las. Sometimes when they are a who instead of a what, they can also be me, te, and nos. So if I'm replacing mi juego de realidad virtual, I would pick lo. It's singular and masculine. So this would go away. Direct object pronouns replace the direct object. So this goes away and I replace it with a lo. And I end up with yo lo tengo que terminar antes de salir. And that is how I rewrite a sentence with a direct object pronoun. Let's look at another example. Yo vi a Raquel con su coche eléctrico nuevo. I find my verb, it is vi. I ask the question, what did I see? Raquel, but that's not really a what because she's a person, so the answer to what did I see is who did I see? I saw Raquel. Okay, that is my direct object pronoun. You can't just find whatever noun is in the sentence. You can't say, oh, it's su coche because that's the noun. Not at all. It's the answer to the question, what or who did I see? And the answer to that is Raquel. I'm going to replace that with, because she is a girl and there's only one of her, I'm going to replace it with la. And so I'm going to put that right before the verb, and my new sentence will be yo la vi con su coche eléctrico nuevo. Okay? So remember, direct object pronouns are your what or who in the sentence. Not every sentence has a direct object, but they're pretty common. All right, moving on to indirect object pronouns. Indirect object pronouns, they do not replace anything. Very different from direct object pronouns. So they do not replace. They are an extra word that we add to the sentence that tells you to or for whom the action is being done. Not every sentence has one. If the action is being done to or for me, I add the word me. If the action is being done to or for you, I add the word te. If the action is being done to or for you, but I'm being formal, I use le. To or for him, I also use le. To or for us, I would use nos. To or for you all, depends. If I'm in South America, it'd be les. If I'm in Spain, it'd be os. And to or for them is a les. Okay, so those are the indirect object pronouns. Let's look at the example sentences. I'm going to go through the same process. We're going to find the verb, and I'm going to ask the verb to or for whom. So Antonio me reparó la computadora ayer. My verb is reparó. What did he repair? The computer. So this is my direct object. Who did he repair the computer for? The answer is me. He repaired it for me. So me is my indirect object pronoun in this sentence. And there's nothing to replace. It's just that extra word that needs to be there to tell me that not only did he repair the computer, he repaired the computer for me. This action was done for someone. Okay, in the next sentence, yo le entregaré el informe al profesor mañana. My verb is entregaré. What will I turn in? I will turn in the report. This is my, oops, I don't want to circle it. This is my direct object, and I'm not doing anything with it right now. Who will I give the report to? I will give it to my professor. Okay, so le is my indirect object pronoun. Now le is completely ambiguous. If I put it by itself, like if my sentence ended right there, yo le entregaré el informe, you don't know who that le is referring to. So this al profesor right here is only there for purpose of clarification to let you know who that le is referring to. Okay, but the little word in the sentence that actually means to him is the le, not this al profesor. Okay? All right, so that's what an indirect object pronoun is. It's a little word that's added to the sentence that tells you who the action is being done to or for. Okay. Now, when we use an indirect object pronoun and a direct object pronoun together in a sentence, there are a few rules that you need to know. First of all, in most sentences, we start out with the subject. The next thing that would follow would be the indirect object pronoun. The next thing that would follow would be the direct object pronoun, and the next thing that would follow would be the verb, followed by any extra information that the sentence includes. Now, this is the big new thing that you're learning this chapter. Whenever we use le, sorry, I kind of covered it up by circling it. Whenever we use le or les, and we combine it with a direct object pronoun, we're not allowed to have it. We can't say le and lo. We can't say les and lo. We can't have a direct object pronoun with a le or les. Not allowed. What happens is these two, the le or les, will become a se when I combine those two together. That is the new rule that you're learning in these notes. Okay, and then I'm going to go over these with you in a second, but you have to know the placement rules. You have to know when you're allowed to attach, when it has to go in front, and where to put the direct and indirect object pronouns. So I want to go back to this slide here, and I want to actually rewrite both of these sentences using direct and indirect object pronouns. So let's look at the first one. We have Antonio me reparó la computadora. What did he repair? The computer. I'm replacing this with a la. Okay, I am allowed to have a me and a la together. So my new sentence would be Antonio me la reparó ayer. Okay, and we would end up having the me and the la, one right after each other. For the second one, it's a little trickier because we have a le. So we have yo le entregaré el informe al profesor mañana. What am I going to give him? I'm going to give him an informe. I'm going to replace that with a lo. This is going to go away. And the lo is going to come after the le, but we can't say that. So my new sentence ends up being yo se lo entregaré. I need to include al profesor because the se is now super ambiguous because it can mean so many things. Profesor mañana. Okay, and there you have it. Okay, next I want to go over all the different rules of placement. So let's start out with conjugated verbs. Whenever we have conjugated verbs, the DOPs and IOPs, and I like putting it in the order that, that you actually write it in. So the IOPs and DOPs come before the verb, and that is the only thing that's allowed. So le doy mi invento al científico. My verb is doy. What do I give? My invention. Who do I give it to? Al científico, and that's why I have a le. So I'm replacing this with a lo. I can't say le lo, so my new sentence becomes se lo doy al científico. And that is the only way I can write that sentence. When we have progressive tenses, with progressive tenses we have a choice. We can have the IOP, the DOP, the estar, and the ando yendo. That is one way to do it. Or I can have the estar with the ando yendo, and I can attach the IOP and the DOP to that ando or yendo. Okay? And you have a choice. And if you do that, you pick up an accent on the A of ando or on the E of yendo. So let's go ahead and rewrite it both ways. My verb is estoy dando. What am I giving? I'm giving a machine to the employees. A los empleados is just clarifying who my les is referring to. And I'm going to replace una máquina with la. But remember, I'm not allowed to say les la. So my two choices are se la estoy dando, and you would include a los empleados because the se is super ambiguous. Se la estoy dando a los empleados. And another choice, another way to write it would be to start with estoy and say estoy dándosela, and it would be all one word, a los empleados. Okay, so with present progressive or imperfect progressive, any of the progressive tenses, you have a choice. You can write it two different ways. Okay, with infinitives, same thing. You have a choice and you can write it two different ways. So we can have the IOP, the DOP, the verb, and whatever else follows, or actually this would be verb 1 and verb 2 because we have two verbs. Or we could have verb 1, verb 2 with the IOP and the DOP attached to it, and whatever else follows. Okay, so let's look at le quiero dar el servicio a usted. The verb is quiero dar, both of these. What do I want to give you? I want to give you the service, so that's my direct object pronoun. Who do I want to give it to? I want to give it to you. That's where my le is there, and this is just clarifying who it's referring to. So I would replace el servicio with a lo. I can't say le lo, so it would become se lo quiero dar. Or another way to word it would be quiero dárselo. Okay, now when we attach two pronouns to an infinitive, you're going to pick up an accent, and it's actually on the A of AR, on the E of ER, and on the I of IR. But it's going to require both pronouns in order to get the accent. If you only had one pronoun, it wouldn't have the accent. Okay. And then with commands, I think you know this rule really well because we've gone over it so much. Affirmative commands, we have to attach, and negative commands, they have to go in front. And that is the only way you can choose between the two of them. It's not really an option. So in the sentence, dales el servicio a los clientes, my command, my verb is da. I'm giving the service. So I'm replacing this with a lo. I can't say leslo, so it becomes da se lo. Okay, needs an accent. And I still need to put a los clientes because it's completely ambiguous who I'm giving it to if I don't. Okay, if this had been a negative command, no les des el servicio a los clientes, it would be no se lo des a los clientes. Okay, so what you need to remember to do is remember that whenever you have a le or les, let me go back to that one slide. Whenever you have a le or a les, and you're attaching it to DOP or YOP, or you're using it together in the same sentence, the les and the les, le and les, have to become a se when you use them together. And the other thing you need to remember is depending on what kind of verb it is, you need to be able to put it in the correct place. So I have a couple to practice with. I'm going to have you pause the video, look at the sentence, and rewrite it. If it has two possible ways to rewrite it, I want you to rewrite it both possible ways. I'm going to give you 3 of these, so I'll give you the answer immediately after you do it. So go ahead and pause, write the answer, and then unpause for the correct answer. Okay, your verb is a command. It's an affirmative command, so all you can do is attach. What are you giving? The math book. And so it becomes Beto, dáselo a Eva. That is the only correct answer. Okay, now I want you to pause the video and rewrite this one with DOPs and YOPs. If it's possible to write it both ways, please write it both ways. Okay, the verb is voy a comprarle. It's an infinitive. I'm buying a modern telephone, so your 2 options, both are correct. Voy a comprárselo, I forgot the accent, needs an accent right there, a mi abuela, or se lo voy a comprar a mi abuela. Okay, last one, pause the video and rewrite this one. If it's possible to do it both ways, do it both ways. Okay, with the progressive tense, you were allowed to write it 2 different ways, either ustedes la estaban leyendo or ustedes estaban leyéndola. Tricky on this one, it did not have an indirect object pronoun, just a direct object pronoun. So if you added a se, you shouldn't have because there was no indirect object pronoun in this one. Okay, that's it for the notes. Go ahead and take your Edmodo quiz using your notes. Try to get 100%.